Welcome to One-on-One with me, Talha Ahmad. Today we have a very special guest, and with him we would explore his story, why he does, what inspired him to get involved, and to tell us about the organization that he is involved with. Let me first introduce the organization, and then we'll come to him. Most of you will be familiar with UK Islamic Mission, one of, if not the oldest Muslim organization. It certainly is one of the oldest Muslim organization, set up in 1960s by Muslim pioneers who wanted to create a better environment for Muslims in this country, as well as to address misconception, raise awareness about Islam and Muslims in Britain. Over the years, UK Islamic Mission has played an important role in setting up, facilitating, supporting so many other organizations, including, for example, the iconic Islamic Mosque. They had involvement and support behind many years ago, as well as many other organizations. Many of you will know UK Islamic Mission from a number of mosques they have around the country, as well as through their relief work, UKIM Relief, and various other relief organizations associated with UK Islamic Mission. The organization is primarily focused on inviting people to Islam, inviting, supporting, empowering, educating, training Muslims to be better Muslims, as well as to address the need to learn about Islam among wider community, so that those who choose to become Muslim, they have a mean to choose that path, as well as those who simply want to learn about Islam can do so. And with me today is our brother Riaz, who is the current president of UK Islamic Mission. Riaz Wali, welcome to the One-on-One.
Brothers.
So let's start with, we often talk about organizations, almost they exist in silo, but each one of us who get involved in things has a story. So let's start with you and what has, if you can pinpoint a moment or occasion or an event, incident that has triggered your interest to get involved, what would that be, or what it was?
I'm blessed. One of the things was that I almost have an opinion about anything and everything, especially in younger days, and I wanted to express it. And unfortunately, in those days, it was that any predominantly Asian organization, Muslim or even non-Muslims, it was kind of frowned upon to ask a question or express your opinion. You just sit there. I'm talking about back in 60s and 70s. And one organization I found was where I had the right to ask a question. I had the right to express my opinion. And alhamdulillah, the elders then, they were very humble, very knowledgeable, but very humble. And they will give me satisfactory answer. And you know, when you're young, you go out of way and you sometimes say some, I wouldn't call it silly things, but maybe you're not supposed to say.
Not as thought through, perhaps.
Yeah. And even then, it was I was heard respectfully, and I always had this in me that I have a right to have my opinion. I have a right to express it, but whatever is the decision, then it's my duty to follow that decision. Whether my opinion was listened to or followed through, no, that doesn't matter to me. What mattered to me was right to express.
You wanted the opportunity and platform to raise your views.
Yes.
Ultimately, whether it gets accepted, that would depend on many things.
Yeah.
In fact, you might even change your views after you express it and you hear the other side and so on.
That what really sort of got me into UK Islamic Mission. Second thing was basically it provided me a kind of right environment. There were a few basic things. We are Muslims, and we have a certain way of life, and I got the friends from that organization which will help me to stay that way. In the 70s, that's when I came to this country, there were not many social activities. There are not many activities you can go and get engaged unless you go out of your boundary, out of your area. And I certainly had a very strict upbringing in that sense. My parents they made sure of that. And they sort of pushed me in that direction with I had a company with elders, knowledgeable elders, sensible elders, and who will guide me. And I think it happens, obviously. Yes, parents did it, other friends did it, but Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala chose that for me.
How old were you when you got involved with them first? How old were you?
I was I'd say about 18, 19.
Yeah, so you got involved as a very young man.
Very young man.
Very young adult.
Yeah.
And tell us about the environment a little bit about, because for many of us who haven't seen the 70s and 80s, we have many frustration about how things are, but we often don't quite appreciate the journey that our community has made and gone through, and the sacrifices and contribution our elders has made. So tell us a bit more. Perhaps you're in Luton now. Were you in Luton at that time? Always been in Luton?
Yes, always been in Luton. And at that time, our elders, to be honest, they didn't have any of these facilities. And even finding a shop with halal food, it was a challenge. And for them, first and foremost priority was we must have a mosque or masjid. Again, I got associated with that. I got linked with that, so I got engaged with it in that sense. And so it set up a routine. So you go to masjid, you pray, you meet and greet, and then you meet, especially the elders. They work, all God sends hours basically. And economically, they were very at the bottom of the ladder. And that time, they also had a sense of responsibility that not only that they have to look after themselves in this country, but also family, what they termed as back home then. And it was that sort of community sense of sticking together, looking out for each other. It was much more friendly environment with them. And very few got engaged with the wider society. They kept themselves to themselves.
In terms of, I mean, today when we look around, if you go to Luton, it's beyond recognition. Almost feels like a Muslim city in many ways, with the mosque and places to eat and so on. But also we now have many more provisions. We have groups, organizations, libraries, so many places where you can go and learn about your faith. But in those days, when so many years ago you were getting involved in UK Islamic Mission, how much of a role did mission played in terms of providing a sense of identity and purpose for people to retain their faith, retain their culture?
Basically, UKIM, we are blessed in that sense that the brothers who established and formed the UK Islamic Mission, they had a vision. Also, they had the organizational sense. And therefore, they saw the necessity of establishing an organization. Majority of other, that time it was brothers, there were very few people brought their families with them. They were single brothers there, of course, elders in my case. And they were more focused on getting jobs, getting money, sending money back home, looking after the family. But it's the UK Islamic Mission brothers, they realized that, or their main concern was that Muslims coming to this country, not losing their identity, Islamic identity in this country. And for them, there was always Islamic identity, not the nationalistic identity, Islamic identity. And predominantly it was Indian subcontinent Muslims. And they had the fortune, they were very fortunate to be brought up by an ideology, they were exposed to ideology, they were aware of that ideology and need for Muslim identity, not only in this country, but London, call it London, UK basically being an international hub of the events, and all the newly independent Muslim countries and the challenges they were facing. So they were involved with that politically back home, if I can call it, engagement, and they were aware of that. So it was, being in London, it gave me, my always hobby was, interest was, getting to know the Muslim world, if I can call it, and be aware of it, getting to understand, oh yes, that country, there's Muslim countries. So I was involved with that. It was my knowledge, getting the knowledge of it, and which probably you don't get that knowledge in your own back home country, but I was getting that. And it was my hobby to get involved.
One of the, I've known UK Islamic Mission for many years, although I have not been formally involved, but I grew up in Birmingham, where I have met and enjoyed company and goodwill of so many of your pioneering leaders. What struck me is that in the 60s and 70s, from what I've heard, you had people who were highly esteemed scientists, doctors and academicians who set it up essentially. Do you feel how much, and having that caliber of people getting involved in setting up a community organization for a community that was just about making its mark in this country, how much of a role do you think UK Islamic Mission has played in enabling the community to realize its potential?
I think it's UKIM, our elders, they really played a crucial role. From UKIM, so many other institutions and organizations have stemmed from that, and it kind of played a leading role in that. They wouldn't have leading role in a sense, that's a need for it. For example, in the 70s, Muslim Education Trust was formed.
Which still exists today.
And it was formed then. And in those days, people like myself who just arrived in this country, going to the school in totally non-Islamic environment, totally very small numbers, and they will make arrangements for a Muslim teacher to be there once a week. And they give you the basic knowledge of Islam. So you kept your identity that way. And the UK Islamic Mission was basically, if I could call it, founding father of that institution. And it was that. You had the forces back in 60s, very active, and I'm sure still is going on now as well. In the 60s, when nobody else had even heard of it, and all these Islamic societies in universities, they were involved with that. And UK Islamic Mission was again, it was part and parcel of that.
As was MCB as well.
Then MCB came
much later on. One of the things that struck me is that when King Faisal came to the UK government wanted to ensure that he receives a very special reception. And they wanted the Muslim community to be involved. And UK Islamic Mission was essentially leading that effort to receive him and engage him on Muslim issues. A number of things were demanded, and he set up a fund, part of which were used to build later on Regent's Park Mosque. But the point I wanted to ask you about is that, so when you look back in 70s, 60s, 80s, UK Islamic Mission was at the front and center of shaping the narrative, essentially crafting the future for British Muslims. Where do you think you are now if we look at where you were then? And how would you appraise the journey that you have gone through?
I think first of all, let me, you mentioned Shah Faisal's name basically. He was one chief guest in our annual conference in '74. Okay. And most of our own membership don't even know that. And where are we now? Over the years, it's a journey. It's been a journey, and we evolved over the years. Our primary focus has been to establishing the masajids, establishing the basically providing a service to the Muslim community up and down the country. And alhamdulillah, in that sense, we have, I think we've done reasonably well. It's always you can do better. We've done well. We also collaborated, worked with various other Islamic organizations. For example, later on the MCB came, but so you got MCA now, you got the Dawat Islam, and they are all basically came from UK Islamic Mission, and the mindset and that all that it came from, and the same vision. Our primary purpose has always been the dawah, the reaching out, being a good Muslim, and B is to set a good example as a Muslim for wider community to engage. Where we are now, as a community developed, society has obviously moved on, community has moved on. We are basically fourth generation Muslims now. At that time, there was first generation Muslims. We are fourth generation Muslims, and for people, maybe not for like myself, our next generation, for them, home is UK.
Yeah,
it's home in UK, and for that, I think that we have kind of. I like to think that we are successful in that. Their identity is Islamic. They haven't, our generation has not lost that Islamic identity.
Religiosity in many ways has increased, hasn't
yeah,
done that?
And in that sense. And of course, there's I won't take the credit for everything. There's other Muslim organizations, they got established and they flourished, and the various communities they developed and flourished. And so for that, there's that sort of kind of need for a forum for the Muslim community came back in 90s when this and Muslim Action Committee, there was a need for it, and from then this formation of MCB came about because there's a need for it. So alhamdulillah, we have played a leading role. Personally, I would have preferred a much greater role, but at the end of the day, we are basically a voluntary-based organization working for Fi Sabilillah, and so we're still in the process of building other things, inshallah.
One of the things that many people, when we speak to, reminisce with some sense of loss and regret in a way is in 70s and 80s and 90s you had the UK Islamic Mission and the various organizations that came out of it were quite effective in attracting young people and became a platform for many of these young people to succeed in life. So it was an enabling institution process. Many are concerned that now Mission is one, but other organizations similar to it also, somehow haven't been able to retain that attraction for young people. Do you share that sentiment, and what are you doing to address that?
I've been through that myself, to be honest. I've been through that period, especially 80s and 90s, and one of the successes of UK Islamic Mission is the youth of 80s and 90s. And it's basically, and I'm sure you're aware of it, the young Muslims.
You had young Muslims, UK, yeah.
And that time we were blessed with the mentors, and they had the vision and everything. And unfortunately, we did lose our way. We were not able to integrate them into the organization, and we kind of lost our way on that one. And because of that, as a UKIM, I won't talk about other organizations, but even UKIM, we have suffered because of that. Ideally, that the young generation should have taken over and moved on and build on it.
I mean, we don't want to be too all doom and gloom, because
But
you are an example of you're not a young person now, but you are an example of a young person who came through.
Even that, that generation, in their own way, their own field, alhamdulillah, they're doing exceptionally well. And may Allah accept their efforts. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reward the brothers who established that. And I can name a lot of names who are in different fields. Maybe they're not in an organization, but they're doing a lot of the work which should have been done by an organization, but they're doing it as an individual, and they still have that. So we as an organization lost our way. We lost that talent. But as a Muslim community, that talent is there, and they're serving there. They're doing the job, what was expected of them.
So we're coming to almost our end of our time. But one question I do want to ask you is, many people look at our situation today, Muslim community, in the context of political development in Britain.
Yeah.
And increasing number feels downbeat about prospect and future. What organization like yours is doing to give people a sense of confidence and purpose, and a positive outlook about the future of our country and our future in our country?
I think, I will, as you know, my background is teaching. Okay. And unfortunately, bad news is the news. The good news is never in news, so you don't get to hear about it. There's, as a Muslim community, there's huge talent and educated talent within and they are doing a great service in our country. They're providing a great service. I believe about 33% of the Muslims are graduates, and they're in different fields they're serving there. What is needed is people like myself, oldies basically, is vacating, giving them space, and then them to lead the Muslim community. And inshallah time will come. Inshallah time will come, and that's needed. And it will come, and they will lead the Muslim community, for not only just the Muslim community, and they'll play the much more positive and prominent role in the society. And their input, their engagement will be acknowledged, and then we will see what is happening. Yes, there are issues, there are challenges, and they're part of the community we are concerned about and worry about. But there is a huge pool of talented, not so young now, they are brothers and sisters who are contributing. It's for us to acknowledge that and in a way promote it and let the people know that this is what we are doing.
Thank you.
And that's the area we need to work.
Thank you, Brother Riaz Wali. Thank you very much for your time. You are watching One on One, and today we were talking to Riaz Wali, the president of UK Islamic Mission, about his journey, how he got involved in that organization, as well as the journey of UK Islamic Mission, both his own life experience and indeed the history and achievement of his organization is wide and many for us to do justice in this short time. But we hope we've been able to give you a glimpse of their work so that it triggers a curiosity for you to find out more. Until next time, that's all from us.